Hi, Brian Berenson here again with another Shrink the Government LLC video uh, on shrinking the government. Now, one of the things that needs to be done, has to be done, is to reduce the size of our federal government. State governments too, but not as urgently as we need to reduce the size of our federal government. Now, how can this be done? Well, repealing Obamacare, fighting against gun control, a number of other things are good battles to be fought, battles that must be fought. But that is not going to win the war. The war is controlled by, I'm digging for a prop here. This is what the war is about: money. How much money our government gets, and therefore how much money our government spends. If we don't control how our government gets the money, gets our taxes, we can't control how much it spends. And I've been doing a lot of reading. It's one of my favorite hobbies. And one of the reasons, in a book I just read, Good and Evil, the impact of taxes on the course of civilization, one of the things it talks about repeatedly is how the country of Switzerland has dealt with this problem. And one of the ways it dealt with it that we need to look at is that we mistakenly gave Congress the power to tax and the power to spend. We need to take the power of spending away from Congress. Now, that's easier said than done, because spending our money, is how members of Congress get reelected. They get reelected or elected by promising to create government programs that will benefit a large number of little groups, the special interest groups. And the Democrats have been particularly good at building a coalition of special interest groups, and each one of those special interest groups gets a piece of the pie. And so the Democrats win. What the Republicans or the conservatives need to do is say, okay, no to the special interest groups. No, you don't get a piece of the pie, because your piece of the pie for some special interest group, like whatever special interest group you want to name, comes out of the pockets of somebody else. The idea that when a state is given money by the federal government, somehow it's free money. No, it's not. No. I live in Minnesota. I've got relatives that live in California. I've got friends that live in North Carolina, Texas, various other states, Florida. Okay, when Minnesota gets money from the federal government, that money is coming from the taxes of my friends in those states. When those states get money from the federal government, it's coming from Minnesota. Now, this idea that there is money from the federal government is free is an idea that has to be destroyed, eliminated, completely proved, because it's wrong, it's not true, and it's bullshit. I don't like using that word, but that's the only word that they can describe it. You know, what we need to do is to honestly look at what our government is doing. I mentioned in an earlier video the brutal truth. We have to realize that to get elected and reelected, our members of Congress have lied to us. And they will continue to lie to us as long as they get reelected. So one of the things we need to do is not reelect members of Congress. Doesn't matter who they are or which party they're at. Don't reelect an incumbent. And then another thing we have to do is regain control of how our taxes are spent, are paid. If we don't control how our government gets the money, we can't control how our government spends the money. Plain and simple. If I were to ask somebody to loan me $100, they'd ask me, well, what are you going to do with it? And if I were to tell them, go out and get drunk, they wouldn't give me the money. But if I told them I, use it to pay bills or something useful, they would. Now, the point of that analogy is every member of Congress says, well, we need your tax dollars for this wonderful program. And, no, we don't. We don't. Most of the programs that we have, government programs that we have, we don't need. And so when we tell members of Congress, no, we don't need your program, we don't need you, goodbye, and vote for somebody else, and do that for the next several elections, congressional elections, for the next 10 years, the next 5 congressional elections, then we will regain control of our government. So, simple idea, difficult to do, but it's what we need to start doing. Thank you.